Hey everyone, it's a new year. Because of that, I wanted to try my hand at a trend that is a few years old at this point, but figured it would still be fun to do. This will probably be a shortish video, but I want to talk about the various games I played this year. Now, I don't play many current games and often spend my time either replaying games or tackling my backlog, so this will be inclusive to both old and new games. So without further ado, let's look back at my 2022. Let's get the obvious out of the way. I played a lot of Trails games this year, specifically 6 games. Now I won't go into detail on that because I already have videos on the games you can watch, but aside from Trails, what did I play? Well, let's get into this starting with something Zelda related. The last few years off and on I've been revisiting some Zelda games to update my opinions on them. I replayed Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Skyward Sword, and Twilight Princess, but there was one game I kept putting off, and that was Wind Waker. Me and Wind Waker have developed a sort of meme status between my friends. If you ever have that one game you genuinely like but you usually find yourself complaining about, that's Wind Waker for me. Wind Waker is a really good game with issues that really hold it back from being one of my favorite Zeldas. I'm not a fan of the Triforce Hunt, with most of my replays ending there if I get anywhere past the Dragon Roost Cavern. I also am not the biggest fan of the dungeons for the most part. I think they are fine and have some good visual variety, but you can definitely tell they were simplified for younger audiences. Funny enough, my biggest problem with the dungeons is the character swap mechanic in half of the dungeons. Not a fan of it since it basically is everything wrong with the Elegy of Emptiness from Majora, only worse in my opinion since you use the command melody far more often, and again it's the central gimmick in 2 entire dungeons in this game as opposed to mostly one stretch in Majora's Mask. That said, I actually really like the story in this game. I think the cartoon tone is unique and charming, and the visual style has aged really well. The combat is simpler than Twilight Princess, with bosses feeling more like actual fights, and this was my first time going for everything in the game, and yes, that included the dumb figurine side quest I will probably never do again. So I can confidently say that it's good. If I had to rank it, I'd say I like it about as much as Skyward Sword, which is a game I actually like, by the way, despite its issues. It's in my top 10 Zeldas, I know that for sure. Unsurprisingly, I think the Wii U port of Wind Waker is by far the best version of the game, and being able to use the gamepad while exploring really made the ocean less boring to explore than it used to be. This will probably remain the best port of the game, as I don't think you could translate the same experience even if you implement picture-in-picture. Wind Waker is a solid game and I had a lot of fun revisiting it. Now let's go ahead and talk about some Sonic. In 2017, after playing Sonic Mania and really enjoying it, I decided to stream myself playing the other 2D Sonic games. But I stopped after Sonic CD and never got around to Sonic 3. But when I saw trailers for Sonic 2, I weirdly felt the urge to play Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Some of my friends Stupid Studios and hooked me up with Sonic 3 Angel Island Revisited, a patch for the Steam version of Sonic 3. Now to give a quick recap, I didn't really enjoy Sonic 1 much as it was kinda slow and rage-inducing in a lot of places. Sonic 2 was better for me but lost me in the second half when it just got unfair at the very end of the game. Sonic CD I only ran through level to level and I actually liked it more than Sonic 1 and 2, but I recognize it has some issues. Sonic 3, however, was great. It had pretty much everything I liked about Mania, aside from the soundtrack being a bit less modern obviously. The multiple characters added a lot of replayability, the game length was great, the game never felt unfair, and as someone that replayed the heck out of Mania, I slipped into this game pretty easily. Also, as minimal as the story was, I enjoyed the stuff with Knuckles a lot. I definitely see why everyone loves this one, and I hope I can get the time to really dig into it like I did Mania. A classic, and I recommend it. So I might actually do more for these games down the line, so I will keep it brief, but we got 2 Gunvolt games this year. If you don't know what Gunvolt is, it's a series of action platformers by Inticreates, the developers of the Mega Man Zero games. And if you've been on this channel for any amount of time, you know I love Mega Man Zero, and I also love Gunvolt. That said, the series entered an interesting lull after Gunvolt 2 in 2016. In 2019, we got a Copen spinoff called Luminous Avenger X, and this year we got 2 Gunvolt games, the first being a sequel to Luminous Avenger X, as well as the long-awaited Gunvolt 3. Before I talk about X2, I need to briefly talk about Copen. Copen was a secondary playable character in Gunvolt 2 that immediately won over the fanbase with his fluid and unique playstyle. So when Luminous Avenger X1 came out, it was an immediate hit with the fans. A problem I personally have with Copen is that his playstyle was fun, but by design it kind of destroyed traditional level design. Because of this, X2 actually changed up Copen pretty substantially, and it's the most divisive thing about the game. Copen is far more grounded this time, only able to do 1 air dash at a time, only unlocking the original dash after you've accumulated enough points. Many people felt like X1 perfected his playstyle, so that is the main point of contention with this game. Personally though, I actually gained a lot of appreciation for the revamped gameplay. For simplicity, I'll just say that I don't mind the changes because they ended up making a pretty good Mega Man X game. Now, Copen has always had the Mega Man staple of stealing bosses' powers, and in X2 it feels more like Mega Man X. If you're a fan of Mega Man X and Gunvolt, I think it is a very fun time. But that said, it is not the main game we were excited for. After a long development period, we finally got Gunvolt 3. This game also experiments a bit, giving us a new playable character named Kirin. And I just want to say right now, guys, she is so fun. She is basically a modern interpretation of Zero's gameplay from the Mega Man Zero games, with a bit of Gunvolt flair to her. You can tag enemies as per Gunvolt tradition, allowing you to do a teleport attack. But what also sets her apart is her melee attacks, which are incredibly flashy. Now, as you beat bosses, you unlock extra moves to her melee combat, expanding her combo game, and it's just really satisfying to play. Gunvolt also returns for the first time since Gunvolt 2, but with a twist. In this game, Gunvolt is basically an incredibly busted transformation for Kirin. He is insanely busted and can one-shot most enemies, and even some bosses with the right moves. There is a fun factor to Gunvolt, but because of how powerful he is, I actually stuck to Kirin the whole game. Now, the biggest problem with Gunvolt 3 is that it was released unfinished, with patches added to the game to improve the ending and add more content. You now unlock a super form for Kirin after beating the game that is incredibly fun, but not efficient for getting high scores like her normal form. They also added in some cool secret boss fights and an additional campaign where you play as the villains going through the same stages. Overall though, both of these games have issues, but I still got a lot of enjoyment from them, especially Gunvolt 3. I've been wanting a character that was a successor to Zero from the Mega Man Zero games, and I finally got it. And so because of that, if you're a fan of the Mega Man Zero games, I cannot recommend Gunvolt 3 enough. It is a lot of fun. On the topic of Inticreates, Stupid Studio Zen also bullied me into finally playing Blaster Master 03. I played the original back in 2017 and found it a really pleasant surprise, and I also enjoyed Blaster Master 02 a lot, and Blaster Master 03 is a great conclusion to the trilogy. These games managed to breathe a lot of life into an IP I think no one under the age of 20 had heard of until Blaster Master 01 dropped, and they made something really cool out of the IP. Anyways, I'm gonna pass this along to Studios without his consent. What do you think of the game, Studios?
Yeah. Game good.
Nintendo Switch Sports came out this year, and as a huge fan of Wii Sports Resort, I actually was stoked for it. Having played it, it's alright. I think the main thing this game has going for it is that it has online multiplayer for every single mode, though I think the matchmaking definitely could use some work. That said, I personally think I like this more than the original Wii Sports, but I like it way less than Wii Sports Resort. Resort had this cool island you could explore in multiple modes, and while it did not have online, it had plenty of cool single-player stuff. Online mode aside, it feels like Switch Sports is a bit of a regression back to the original game. Still, the game is a fun distraction, and if you can get some friends together to play it with you, it's a fun time, but again, it's not the best. That said, it is an absolute war crime that there is no boxing in this game. Dang it, Nintendo, I want Matt to just punch me the heck out, dude. I want to be on the floor, knocked out by Matt, ASAP, and you guys are not letting me. Release the Matt cut. Release it, guys. Crisis Core Reunion is a game that just kind of dropped into my lap last minute, so let's go ahead and just talk about it. Many of you may not know this, but I have a huge soft spot for the original Crisis Core, but the game has a lot of problems. Many of those problems keeping me from ever finishing a replay of the game, whether it be the clunky combat, the slot machine mechanic that constantly interrupted the gameplay, or graphics that have not aged the best due to the platform it was on. So when I first saw the trailers for this, I was able to immediately identify that this was way more than just a fresh coat of paint. If you have never played Crisis Core before, this is a substantial improvement over the original in nearly every single department. The visuals of the game look closer to Kingdom Hearts 3, the pace of the fights has increased immensely, and most importantly, the slot machine rarely ever interrupts the game anymore. There are some issues from the original that still do persist in this game, some of them being that the cutscene animations lack in comparison to Final Fantasy VII Remake, as well as Zack's new voice being kind of controversial for some people. Despite that, I got legitimately addicted to this version of the game, and if you like the original game, or are a fan of the original Final Fantasy VII, or even Remake, this is the definitive way to play the game. Now let's go ahead and wrap this up with 2 more JRPGs. Something that may surprise some of you is that I played a few Tales of games this year. Now unfortunately it's not Tales of the Abyss, but it is one that has been on my shelf for a while. This year I played Tales of Xillia 1 and 2 for the PlayStation 3. Before this, I had only beaten Tales of Symphonia on the channel, a let's play I'm largely embarrassed of for the first half, but I ultimately came around to the game by the end of it. I had wanted to get into the Tales of series as a whole for a while, but keeping it restricted to the channel made it difficult for me to truly dive into it. So in the month in between my Sky the Third review and resuming college, I had played Tales of Xillia. Now, I had seen the story of this game before I even played Symphonia, but since that was a long time ago, I forgot most of it. I adore pretty much the whole cast, and the story had issues but was enjoyable, and because of that, this game quickly became one of my favorites of the Tales of series so far. But most importantly, I really liked the combat. It felt like a really evolved version of what I played of Abyss, but with a lot more complexity. The characters across the board were a lot faster than the previous games, swapping was more intuitive, and the chain art system was really rad. Before I knew it, I became a combo master in this game, and I never pulled that off in the older games. Now, I'll go ahead and say that this game is not top 10 game material for me, but it did land in my top 10 RPGs, so that should really say something in terms of how much I enjoyed it. In fact, I enjoyed it so much that I ended up buying Xillia 2 not too long afterwards. Unlike Xillia 1, I went in totally blind to Xillia 2, and it went in some wild directions in both story and gameplay. Functionally, it plays the same as the first game, but featuring the most busted main character in the entire series. Ludger is like if they took Dante from Devil May Cry and dropped him into a Tales of game. He has a weapon swap mechanic, functionally turning him into a 3-in-1 character, alongside a transformation that you can use to cheese a lot of fights. The game did get a lot harder across the board as a consequence, but Ludger is a really fun character to play as. As for the story, it went in some wild directions I did not expect, and I won't really say any more than that. It just, got a bit existential, I'll definitely say that. Now for something I'm a little more mixed on with this game. See, Xillia 2 has a perfect representation of crushing college debt. There's this weird progression system where you have to earn money to pay off your debt and unlock more of the world, and so because of that, this game kinda has paywalls that you have to go through to be able to progress through the game at several points. Now, luckily it isn't too bad because you have a quest system in this game that allows you to get money pretty easily, but that said, it is still kind of a thing in this game, and I'm not sure I love it, it's just weird. Overall, the Xillia games are great and a highlight of the year for me. Absolutely recommend them if they ever get re-released. Anyway, that is it for now. There were other games I started this year but did not finish because I was more than a little busy, as well as a few games that I got kind of last minute, so I was unable to put them into this video as I needed to get it out on time. So I'm just gonna go ahead and rapid fire some of the ones that I played that I don't really have time to talk about, so here we go. Anyway, that is going to be it for the games I played this year. So for those of you who don't know, I basically switched video editors in between making the last video and this video, and so I kind of wanted to do something a bit simpler, and that's why I made this video and why I didn't go as hard as I could have gone. In general, there definitely were a lot of games I played this year, but at the same time, I didn't finish most of them, which is why you had that reel just now, obviously. But yeah, this year has been kind of crazy. A lot of things have happened. I've basically went and opened a KoFi, which I think you guys should check down below. If you guys don't know what KoFi is, it's basically like Patreon, except it's like a little bit more art-centric in a few places, but it serves the function just fine. And what I like about it is that it doesn't have like a monthly wait before it pays out, which is something that was kind of trash about Patreon. So if you guys want to subscribe, you can, but you guys don't have to. You guys can just give a one-time donation and it just pays out that way as well. So yeah, you have options that way, whereas Patreon, at least how I remember it, you basically had to either do subscriptions or you had to hit like a threshold before you got a payout. So that's why I'm using KoFi, and yeah, I hope you guys go ahead and check that down below if you want to support content like this and get videos early. Now that said, I kind of want to talk about what I want to do this year to a certain degree. I am obviously back in college, and I will be in college for quite a while now, and so I kind of need to free up my time a bit, both for college and also for other projects and, like, you know, real life, because I definitely need to get some more exercise in general. It's been something that I've been struggling with because I've been putting all of my heart and soul into making these videos while also doing college, and so because of that, I've not gotten nearly as much exercise as I really need, so I just need some time to just kind of have to myself. So because of that, I think the bigger reviews are going to be slowing down. If I were a larger channel, I'd be able to hire editors, I'd be able to, you know, get all these other people to really make it a lot easier for me to get videos like this out, but I don't have that kind of money. I don't have that kind of support. I am very small, and so because of that, I just have to, excuse me, I do have to kind of take this a bit slower. So, because of that, I think it's probably going to be a 2 to 3 month wait between the Trails videos as I make those. That is going to be a major project of mine, and I may even take some breaks in between. I had some ideas for some smaller videos in between, and if you guys get them, you're going to get them, but I kind of don't really have a consistent schedule in mind right now because I'm just going to be juggling a lot, and I hope you guys understand that. But that said, I do want to say that this last year has been, kind of an interesting experience because, you know, I was, you know, uploading videos off and on, and I kind of wanted to get back into doing reviews. There was my Golden Sun 2 review, which, I just want to say right now, that review I had sitting on a shelf for quite a while, and I wasn't really feeling confident about it. So then my friend basically recommended, because I just finished Cold Steel 4, and he was saying something along the lines of like, well, hey, obviously you won't shut up about Trails, why don't you make videos on it? And so that's what I did, and ended up being more work than my Golden Sun 2 review, but I think it paid off. I think you guys obviously really like the videos, and I'm really proud of how they all turned out so far. I know a good number of you guys also, you know, not all of you, a good chunk of you, a majority of you guys are Trails fans that have watched these videos, and so you guys kind of already know everything to a certain degree, but among my friends that, you know, have not played Trails before, I think they've watched, like, the first chapter video, maybe the Zero video, but definitely the first chapter video, and they haven't touched the rest because they want to avoid spoilers, which is perfectly fine. But it's also kind of led to a situation where, you know, I have like this linear series that's probably just gonna get worse as it goes along. But that said, the Zero review did really well, a lot more than I actually expected. So I'm really happy about that, and I definitely put a lot of work into that one. That one is probably the Trails video that I just worked the hardest on right now, and I'm really happy about that. But that said, I am contemplating how to approach Azure when that one comes out. Azure is my favorite, so I may go all out on that one too, but on the same coin, free time is a problem, and that's why I kind of think I may want an extra month, like, because it took 2 months to make Zero, I may want an extra month to work on Azure's review, because that is a beast of its own, especially if I try to 100% it like I did for Zero, and so I hope you guys kind of understand on that one. I think the next term should hopefully be better than last time, and that's why this next month I'm just straight up not gonna upload any major videos. I may look into doing some streams here and there. That might be more fun to do, just to do off and on, especially since there's now a live stream tab. So I may do that off and on. I think that could be fun, but like as far as like major videos, I won't in January, just so I can get a feel for how this term is gonna be first before I jump into anything else. And February I may make something, and for the record, if I do make any major videos, I'm going to be trying to plan ahead, and yeah, but there's also other personal projects that I kind of want to put some time into thinking on whether or not I want to commit to all of that, and there's a lot of things I want to do, but I don't have the free time to do all of those things, and it sucks. So I may end up making decisions this year, and we'll see what happens. But, yeah, this was a crazy year, and in particular, also, I just want to say, I got to go to MomoCon, this last year over on the East Coast, which was a really fun experience because I got to actually hang out with some, online friends all together for like the first time ever. And it was a really fun week. Granted, I got the good old COVID from that, which, but that felt like it was a really good week, and I really, it could have been a lot worse. That said, don't catch COVID. Wash your hands. It ain't fun. I think the thing that sucks the most about COVID, in the best case scenario, is it takes like a week to get over it, and that thing is always mutating. So like, I don't know. Well, what a time to live in. Anyway, I'm stalling. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you have a great 2023, and look forward to whatever I make this year. And yeah, I'll see you later. Bye.